Hey everyone, today I'm doing another recipe video in which I'm going to show you how to make these apple scrolls. Now make sure that you set aside plenty of time to make these, as this is not something that you can just whip up really quickly unless you're a professional baker, which I'm not, but it's totally worth it as these turn out so good and so delicious. So let's get started in how to make these apple scrolls. So to get started, the ingredients that you're going to need are 2 apples. You can use any kind, but I like to use Granny Smith apples as I find them the best to cook with. A sachet of yeast, which is equivalent to around 2 teaspoons of yeast. Some sugar, either white sugar or caster sugar. 125 mils of warm water. Some bread flour or some plain all-purpose flour. Some salt. Some bread improver. Some milk, full cream, low fat, skim milk, almond milk, any kind of milk. Some allspice. Some butter, salted or unsalted, it doesn't really matter. Some brown sugar, but I didn't have that, so I'm using Rapadura sugar. And an egg. So those are the ingredients that you're going to need. Now what you need to do is you're going to preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius. Then what you're going to do is separate the 125 mils of water into 65 mils of water and 60 mils of water. So you're going to take the 65 mils of water and you're going to pour the sachet of yeast into the water, or as I mentioned, this will be equivalent to around 2 teaspoons of yeast. Then you're just going to give it a little stir and put it in a place in your kitchen that gets lots of sunlight so it can ferment. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your 2 apples and you're going to peel them. As you can see, I'm using a potato peeler because I suck at using the regular apple peeler. And it does the job, I guess. Then once you've done that, you're going to core your apple. This is not how you core an apple, but it gets the job done. So if you want to learn how to core an apple properly, just go online and search it up. I was just too lazy. Then once you've cored the apple, or in my case, gotten as much core out as possible, you're just going to roughly dice the apple, and emphasis on roughly, because as you can see, I'm not very good at this, and just do the same thing with the other apple until basically you've just got little pieces of apple that look like this, okay? That's my best description of it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take a saucepan and then just place all of the diced apples into the saucepan, and then you're going to take the remaining 60 mils of water and just add that to the mixture. And you're going to bring the mixture to a boil, and then you're going to start stirring it so the mixture doesn't stick. And you want to do this until the apples are soft, and you'll know that they're done when they can break apart and have a similar texture to applesauce. So once that's done, if the water hasn't all been absorbed by the apples, just strain away some of the liquid. Otherwise, leave it aside to cool and we can get started on making the scrolls. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 30 grams of butter or Nuttelex or whatever you want to use. You want to just melt it in the microwave. I like to do this in 10-second increments until it's fully melted. And then once you've got the melted butter, you're going to take your egg and crack that into the melted butter and just beat it with a fork. Try not to make a mess like I did. Once the butter and the egg have all been mixed together, you're going to take a large bowl and 2 cups of your flour. You can sift it in if you like. I did this, but it really doesn't matter too much. It just makes it a bit less lumpy. But in the end, I don't think sifting it has that much of an effect on the final product. Maybe it does, I don't know. But as you can see, this took me ages to figure out how to use this sifter correctly. But we got there in the end. Made a bit of a mess, but it's fine. Then once you've got the flour in, you're going to take a teaspoon of salt and just sprinkle that in there. And then you're going to take a teaspoon of bread improver and just put that in there. And then take a teaspoon of allspice. And then you're also going to take a teaspoon of cinnamon because apples and cinnamon just go so well together. And then with a knife, just make a well in the center and you're going to add your yeast and water mixture. And you're just going to use a butter knife to just mix all those ingredients together. And because this mixture alone will be far too dry, you just need to add a little bit of milk. Some of these recipes will actually say to use milk powder, but if you've got actual milk, just use that. I just add 2 tablespoons of milk into the mixture to soften it up. And then just keep mixing with your knife, and you want everything to be mixed together and have the texture of a soft ball. Then what you want to do is flour a clean surface because you don't want the mixture to stick to the surface because otherwise it'll be a pain to clean. And you're just going to turn the mixture onto the surface, and you're going to start kneading what is now the dough. Basically just want to keep turning it over, make sure it's coated with the flour so it doesn't stick, and just keep bringing the corners over and using your body weight to just press it in. I guess that's the best way to describe kneading. Just keep doing that process, watching what my hands are doing and being firm with it. And yes, I've used self-raising flour to flour the surface, but that doesn't really matter as long as you don't use it in the actual mixture, because otherwise you'll have some crazy scrolls. And so just keep kneading, add more flour if you need to. And then once it's got a smooth and elastic texture, like the surface will feel smooth and it holds if you pull on it, then you'll know that you've kneaded it enough. And so then you can place the bowl over it for 5 minutes to just let it rest. And then once it's rested, flour it a little bit more so it doesn't stick, and you're going to basically roll it out till it's about 50 by 30 centimeters. As you can see, I am not very good at this. I don't have a lot of patience. I'm just not very good with size. So that sad looking thing is the best that I got. If you have a technique for this, please let me know and use that technique if you're trying out this recipe. But once it's rolled out, you just want to evenly spread the dough with the cooked apple mixture. You can just do that with a spoon. It looks so nasty, but it's delicious. And then I forgot to do this, but feel free to take around 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and just sprinkle it on. But otherwise, what you want to do is you want to just roll up the longer sides of the dough. This is getting very messy and uneven. And just use a butter knife to cut it up into around 12 pieces this should make. I cannot believe how messy this is getting. I suck at bread making, clearly. But I'll keep pushing until I master it. Okay, maybe not master it, but just be better at it. Then once you've got your, little scrolls, just take a baking tray and line it with baking paper, but we didn't have any baking paper, so I just used alfoil. It doesn't really make a difference. And then you're just going to arrange your scrolls very closely together into like a little circle, or arrange it how you want. I just like to do it like this. And then you want to do is you're going to take some cling wrap and just use that to cover the scrolls, and again put the tray in a place where sunlight comes from to just let the scrolls prove. And you should probably let the mixture prove for about an hour because this helps them to expand, but we don't have time for that, so I probably waited about 20 minutes to half an hour. Let's just take the cling wrap off and place your scrolls into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. But of course, be sure to keep an eye on them so they don't burn. Then after the 15 to 20 minutes, take them out. And if you like, while they're cooking, feel free to make up an icing mixture for them so that they look a little bit more prettier. Otherwise, those are your apple scrolls. They will look a lot better if you actually know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I just like being in the kitchen, and as long as the food's edible, then it's fine, right? But there are your apple scrolls. So that is it for this recipe video on these apple scrolls. In fact, let's try one on camera. This is what it looks like. That is good. The crunchiness on the top and the sweetness of the apple just make it a perfect snack to have. It's so good, so definitely go and make this. And thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to give this video a like you enjoyed, and subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any new videos. So, till next time, in my next video, I shall see you then. Goodbye.